be good. I have my tea.
I'm so mad at you for that dress. It really is so cute.
Well, we could coordinate next time.
Yeah.
Coordinate next time. Well, we are finally.
Yes. Long awaited.
I mean, okay. Welcome, guys, to the Good Sis podcast. I am super excited to bring you all my guest. I am so excited. I feel like I've known this girl for like years and I've only met her once. And this is my second time seeing her ever in life. But this is my sister from another mother in another time frame because let me tell you, this girl is phenomenal. My friend Jasmine.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome. So as you guys see, we have these lovely coffees.
Cheers.
Cheers. Tea. Oh, did I say coffee? Well, we're at her coffee shop, but we're having tea.
I remembered that you like tea.
I like both. Yeah. I mean, but both of them were so. Oh, wait, is that the tea from the event?
I don't know. I don't remember what I brought.
Did you have a hibiscus or something?
There was a hibiscus, but I think there was another one there.
Is there a lavender or something?
I don't know.
But right now, what am I drinking?
We're drinking a spiced maple Earl Grey.
And it's so good, y'all.
It's one of my favorites.
I needed it because I've been coughing this week because I have allergies, and then somehow, well, I know how it happened, but anyways, that's besides the point. And then I just started coughing this week, and I'm like, it would be nice if I had some tea.
Yeah.
And then my sister Jasmine.
This time of year, I always gravitate towards tea. I kind of take like a little coffee hiatus and enjoy tea because I feel like there's something about just like sipping on hot tea all day long versus coffee. I don't always want to drink all day.
Yeah.
So.
Do you get like one of those coffee highs whenever you like drink coffee?
If I have too much. I really don't drink a lot of coffee anymore. Like I will maybe drink like half of a cup of coffee a day. But if I had like, there have been days where I had like all day back-to-back events where I maybe had like 4 or 5 coffees, and it is like the equivalent of being drunk. It is like, I hate the feeling. I don't love it at all. So no, I really do only drink like 1 a day.
Oh, wow. I really feel maybe I am an alcoholic then because coffeeholic. Because when I have coffee, like I don't get that feeling.
Yeah.
I just love the smell and the taste, and I think that's what gravitates me towards it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it unless I know that I did too much. Like, and it really is like out of like boredom. Like, okay, I'm here at this event, I'm here all day long, or I'm at the shop all day long. Like, I might as well have another coffee. Or on days maybe when we're like test kitchening some different menu items, then I definitely get that high, that coffee high.
Interesting. I've always wondered, and especially with people owning coffee shops, like I wonder, like, do they drink the actual coffee?
Yeah.
Do they actually drink the product that they sell? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, so before I started the shop, I was just like a coffee like fanatic, and like I loved to like do exactly what we're doing here and just like go explore like cute coffee shops in different cities or here in Charlotte, and just really enjoy whatever their fun coffee was. So if that was like a seasonal latte or something, like I wanted to enjoy whatever that fun one was, take my cute little Instagram pictures or whatever, and just like enjoy the atmosphere and the people around me. So now here, of course I drink it, and like it's always so important to me that the product that I am putting out there is something that I genuinely like, because if not, what is the point, you know? If I know that I'm not putting out a good product, it wouldn't make sense to be in business. So I take a lot of pride in what I serve here. All of our syrups are house made, and I come up with all the menus myself, and put a lot of care into like every part of the drink. So.
Honestly, that's the one thing, and I think that's actually how we got started on when we first met, how we started conversating, because when I came up to your stand, so we were actually at a breast cancer awareness event,
yeah.
And both of you and I know Alex, and so that's why I was there, and Alex had invited me, and I went to your table, and I was like, okay, well, what is this? And I saw how passionate you were about the coffee, and like how it made you feel, you know, opening up your own shop. And also just telling me about your different coffees. That's why I was like, was it a hibiscus or a lavender? I remember it was something about it, but it really captured, you know, my attention. And brought me closer to you, and then we started talking about life. I mean, now I just feel like I know this girl. Like
I remember we got into a whole long conversation, and I think the world stopped spinning around us in a weird way, because I remember we got in trouble for talking during a time we should not have been. Yeah.
And I love those conversations, and I also love how coffee and tea can bring you there. I think the first time that I appreciated tea, and actually warm coffee, was closer to my adulthood, but I went to Morocco back in 2017, and I just fell in love with tea because I was not a hot drinker. What was your first interaction with coffee or tea that you can remember it takes you back?
So it's like, it's so silly to think about now, but my initial memory with coffee, my dad has always worked in the fence industry. And so, his office, we would go in with him sometimes in the mornings when we were little, and they had the crappy office coffee, and my dad would pour his cup of coffee, and then he would make us a coffee, and it was hot chocolate with a little bit of coffee in it. And we would drink it and think that we were hot stuff drinking coffee, but it was this thing that I really loved. So I was going to work with my dad, and it was nice to spend that time with him, but also we're sitting and having this coffee together, and I felt like a big shot, And so that was, I guess, my first feeling surrounding the nostalgia of coffee. But then later in life, I didn't think about this until a couple years ago. We didn't even have a coffee pot at home until I was 19. And my mom had asked for one for Christmas or something like that, and one of my family members gave her a coffee pot, and so it started this routine where we would all, my little sister, my little brother, I had a newborn baby at the time, and my mom, and we would all go sit out on the front porch and drink coffee together. We would wrap up in blankets if it was chilly, but we would start our mornings all together, sitting and drinking coffee. We would, as my daughter got a little bit older, we would make her milk with a little bit of coffee creamer or something in it, and we would all just have our coffee. And from there it kind of grew into the space of begging people to come have coffee with me, my family, my friends, and almost tricking them into staying for hours. And that
she tricked me.
Right. And so that was kind of the love surrounding what I do now is how can I create this space where my family, my friends, and these new people that I meet will just come and gravitate here, and I can force them to have coffee with me and talk to me. So.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What more of a drink is, I think wine is probably a nostalgic drink as well, other than tea and coffee.
I don't know. I don't really drink wine. I am so much of a lightweight that I really can't.
You're getting drunk off coffee.
Right, I know. I do love wine, but I can literally have a fourth of a glass before I'm done, acting out of character. So, but I feel something a warm drink, there's for me, there is no more nostalgic feeling than just having something warm in my hands.
Just holding it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I wish you guys could see, and actually I'll have a reel or something with how beautiful her shop is, and she says it's a work in progress, but I think it is freaking phenomenal. It's so retro. The vibe is so you. Can you tell me more about your brand? And actually, let's go ahead and tell them the name of your coffee shop, because we're talking about this and we have not even said the name. So
it is Wild Roots Coffee. So this is actually our second location. Our first one was only open for 18 months, but the building got sold and is in the process of getting torn down for an apartment complex, Charlotte. And that last space was very neutral, earthy. A lot of people called it boho, and it was a really, really great vibe. This one is night and day. It's totally different. Growing up, there were 8 of us, and I feel my whole life, my style always, and to this day, you're wearing your bright and fun colors, and I'm wearing all black. My style was always forced into this plain Jane kind of vibe, to where it always had to just be staples, but inside, I felt I had a very vibrant, colorful, weird, quirky personality, but the outside never matched it. And so for this space, that was my biggest goal, is I wanted the space to be representative of what I really feel inside. And What's funny is that so many people have come in, like friends and family and customers that have been here kind of along this journey the last 4 years. And when they come in for the first time, that is the first thing they say is like, this is so you. And that makes me happy because they see not the me that I necessarily like portray on the outside, but what's inside. So, but yeah, so I wanted it to be vibrant and colorful, and I really love like a 70s retro feel. So my sister is really the brains around anything in terms of design. I just kind of tell her what I love and what I hate, and take her on that journey with me. So.
Wow. I love how, even though this is your business and you're running this and you started one location, you opened up this location, how you still kept your same principles around your business, which is family, like collaboration, family, and just the joy of your identity and just being yourself and expressing yourself in different ways. So it's like almost like a piece of you.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you see yourself, where have you seen yourself kind of grow from in each stage of getting your business started? So, there's always, before you even get it started, like, how did you even get yourself started with this business in coffee? Because, how many years have you been open in total?
So I've been in business for 4 years this October. Yeah.
Woo, that's a long time.
Yeah, feels like forever.
And especially for, something that started out as a small business and now you're expanding your territory. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
So I was teaching 4th grade.
Wow.
And I knew that I did not want to be a career teacher. Like I knew that I could not teach forever. And so I had made myself a promise when I graduated that I would only teach until my daughter was out of elementary school, because I taught elementary school. And so when 4th grade and 5th grade started to go by, I was like, I need to have a plan in place for what to do next. So her 5th grade year, so 2019, I went ahead and started like thinking through what I needed to do. And so that summer I went and randomly bought a horse trailer from a farm in like Spartanburg or something. One random day we had just come home from vacation, and I went and got this horse trailer with the idea to renovate it so it was like this fun, eye-catching, unique way to serve coffee out of. My family all told me it was a terrible idea, that I should not do it, because I, by nature, I'm a Pisces. I'm very like head in the clouds, very flaky in terms of like I start a project and never finish it. And they know that about me. So they imagined that I would do the same thing with this, and so did I. But I think once I had that initial investment in it, there was no real way out. Like, not only did I have to pay money for it, but then there was also so much sweat equity. My dad, myself, and my siblings, we like spent the summer in the heat, like grinding this thing out. And so it was kind of hard. We finished it in October, and I looked at my dad and I was like, we're done, but now what? And he's like, well, now you have to do this. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't think we're done, and I think I'm done with the project. But really that encouragement from my family to just keep pushing through. I got out there, and it was almost immediately just so well received and well loved, and relatively successful. And then we dove into 2020, the pandemic, and that's really where the business took off, because everybody was looking for a gathering space outside to where they didn't have to go indoors and put themselves at risk. But then also everyone was looking for something to do. So we just popped up all around South End, Uptown area, and people followed us around. They took their little silly walks for the day and followed us around to get coffee. And from there, it all took off. So.
I mean, to start out in a horse trailer, you guys have to have some type of carpentry, or what kind of skill set do these people have? Like, how did you?
My dad has always been very good at like
building.
He did work in carpentry when he was younger, so he can really like give him an idea and he can bring it to life. Seeing that growing up, like he used to build us like all of our toys. When I was younger, I remember like they would make us these handmade toys. My dad would I had this giraffe. Giraffe was my favorite animal. And so I had this like wooden giraffe that my dad cut out of the wood and shaped out of the wood. And then my mom painted it because my mom is a really great artist. And so it was like that idea in my brain that it's like, oh, if I want something, I don't always have to go buy it. I can make it. Same with like Halloween costumes. My mom would make all of our Halloween costumes growing up. So like, and I think a lot of that was because we were poor, but also, you know, it was like they were both so great at like bringing something to life. And that was instilled in me from the beginning. And so doing this all by hand, while sometimes it's not always like perfect, and I hate when people look too up close at like the walls and stuff, but but at the same time, I can confidently say, like, in this space, you know, the cubbies, you know, my sisters and I built, you know, these murals, my sisters and I painted, and this bar, my dad and I and my sister built. And so it's all these things that, like, I can look around and say, well, yes, I could have bought them. Well, maybe not because they're expensive, but I could have. But instead, we put that energy into it. And so I feel like everything is so intentional, but it's also really special and has a lot of meaning and memories behind it.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't remember what question you asked me because I just went off on a tangent.
I don't know either, but I'm just so in love about how you guys work together as a family, because you don't really see that family unit anymore, right? And then for the simple fact, the entrepreneur gene is just in you in general. Yeah. So when you say like you didn't think that you would be able to do that, like to even create this concept and to take it to the next level, I would say to hear that story, it was always in you. Yeah. So like at that time when you first started as well, like what did you think was your talent or your gift, you know? Because I feel like when people achieve a certain amount of success, because this is success. Look, I don't care what you say. I will look close at this wall and be like, that looks like success. But at the same time, when people achieve a success, like it's hard to accept it, especially when you know what you're capable of. Yeah. But when you aren't quite sure what you're capable of, I would love to hear, or when you weren't as sure of what you were capable of, what did you think your purpose in life was, and what did you think that your next step was going to be before you bought that trailer?
Honestly, so I like I said, I'm one of 8. My dad is talented. My mom is talented. All of my siblings are either just very, very intelligent or have all these little talents or like strengths. I was always the one where I wasn't very good in school. I wasn't as smart as the rest of them. I didn't have any like specific talent or ability, and I never really knew my place. And so I hate to say it, but I don't think that anybody ever thought much of what I would do. Yeah. Because again, I didn't have that specific spark that everyone else had. And so when I started this, I think that was a lot of the feelings that I had of like inadequacy, and I didn't even want to finish the project out and like actually serve, because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be successful in this. I've really never been successful in anything that I've done. So like, why would this be any different, you know? But I had such a strong pull to do this because I had taken some time. I had my daughter when I was 19. And so I kind of was thrown into adulthood, and I never really had the opportunity to get to know myself, who I was, or what my passions or my joys or what brought me peace, because my entire adult life I have been a caregiver of this beautiful, sweet, little amazing child, right? And I love that. But I also had this moment of like, wow, when people ask me what I like to do for fun, I have absolutely no answer. Wow. And it felt humiliating to be able to have to say out loud, like, I don't know who I am or what I like. So I really took some time to like deep dive into myself and find out what are those passions, what does bring me joy or peace. Not necessarily what do I like to do for fun, but what makes me tick, what makes me happy. And when I realized that, like I told you in the beginning, that feeling of nostalgia of just sitting around and having coffee with friends and family, that is what I wanted to do. I set out to spend the rest of my life integrating that into my life or into my daily life. And I don't know. I just I think I lost track of where I'm at.
No, so I'm going to help you because this is great. And this is what people need to hear, because I feel like, well, first of all, shout out to all single mothers out here, because my mom was a single mother, and I just love how you took the time to protect your child, but then you also made time eventually for yourself.
And it's so important.
People don't know how to do that transition. So let's kind of hone in on that, because, you know, what do you think was the most, I mean, you said that you tried to figure out what made you most happiest, right? How did that come up in a business plan, though? Because, I mean, we can think about the things that make us happy, and sometimes those things are not good, and sometimes those things are good. But, like, was there a process that you had to do? Did you just sit by yourself? I know for my birthday this year, to kind of refocus, I went to a tree house. So, amazing. And just sat by myself. But, you know, like, is there anything that you did, or did it just click?
So I don't know if there is like an actual name for this, but I was still teaching at the time, and I was in my classroom, and it was like all my kids had gone home for the day, and I just sat there like kind of lost feeling, and I was like, I need to sort this out. So I have now coined it myself as like passion mapping. I don't know if there's an actual word for it, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna like look into it, but I never do.
You should start a course.
Right.
Another business.
But I just started like furiously like jotting out on my whiteboard in my classroom like things that I love or things that I enjoy. And I sat there, and it took me like 10 seconds because I didn't have anything that I loved or that brought me joy, that brought me peace, or that made me happy. And that's when I was like, okay, that's a problem. You know, I am so grateful that, you know, I had such a great example from my mom of how to like love and care for her child so well, that I have had the opportunity to pour so much into my daughter when she was young. But I do also have to be my best self for her. And in that is finding myself. And so I honestly just started like stealing ideas from other people. I was like, okay, what do you love to do? What makes you happy? And like, I just started trying all these things out, like different things that I would never think to do or places I would never think to go, and putting myself out there to experience things that I would have never done on my own. And after I did that, I came back to that same whiteboard. I was like, okay, it's been a few months, let's come back to it. And then I was able to write down things that I actually enjoy. And from there, I just kind of like mapped it out. So like coffee was something that just kept coming up in different categories. And then I kind of like webbed it out of like, okay, coffee, but why coffee? Okay, I enjoy the conversation surrounding it. I enjoy exploring coffee shops. I enjoy like unique experiences. I enjoy like talking with family and sitting with family and friends. And then I just sat there and I was like, that is the thing that brings me the most peace. When I go out of town, I can't wait to find like all the coffee shops to have on my list to go and just sit and enjoy talking with people and drinking coffee. So it was like this aha moment of like, okay, now how can I center my life around that? And a lot of people will tell you, what is the phrase? If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is like a scam, and you can't mix business and pleasure. And so I am one to like go against the curve, and so I was like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
Right.
I had just read the book Becoming by Michelle Obama.
That's a good book.
And in that book, she talked about how in our lives we are going to play so many different roles, and you know, went through all the different roles that she has played in her womanhood, and how like asking children at a young age of like, what do you want to be when you grow up, is such a like stunting question. Because if you say like, oh well, I want to be a teacher when I grow up, in my brain now I'm committed to that for the rest of my life, and I can never be anything else, no matter how much my passions or my joys or myself changes throughout the years. And so it just kind of talked about, if you have something that you love or that you want to explore, do it now. Because 50 years from now, 5 years from now, that may not be something you love and enjoy anymore, and you miss that opportunity to explore it. And I kind of got chills saying that, because it's like, it feels so powerful to me, this idea of like jumping on it right then and there. So that's what I did. I immediately just jumped on this passion that I had, and hoped that if I did it with that love and that joy, that it would be successful. And of course, we all want to be more successful, or sometimes downplay where we are, but this is far bigger and far greater than I ever imagined it being.
Oh my gosh. Essentially what I heard you say is that you took, first of all, you stepped outside of your comfort zone to really figure it out. And then you brought it back in with things that you continuously that continuously made you happy over that course of time or throughout your life, you were able to sit down, know yourself enough to point out things like, okay, maybe I didn't think about this in the beginning, but now because I'm outside of my comfort zone, I can see outside of myself. Yeah. So now I can look back and say, okay, actually I do like this, I do like that, I do like that. And it does take, like, getting to know yourself does take a sense of taking a risk, but also reminding yourself who you truly are. Because coffee was a part of your life apparently, or, you know, your whole life. And so that is so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. And I think like it's so important to like dive into, I think you had asked me a while ago and I trailed off of like, how did I know this was my purpose or whatever. And I think through this experience of like coffee I've realized is my vehicle. It's my mode of transportation because my purpose is not to like make people coffee. Yeah. While I do enjoy it and I feel like I do it well, it's not my purpose. And I didn't know what that purpose when I set out and started all of this. I was just kind of like a fly in the wind, honestly. And through time and through like these conversations and experiences like the one that you and I had, I have realized that my purpose truly is to use coffee as a vehicle to foster these conversations, to share my story and encourage people to do that very thing that sounds really scary and big and unattainable, and do it because you're worthy of all the things that you want and all the things you want to be. And not everybody grew up with that mindset of like go-getter, entrepreneur. Sometimes you just have to do the scary thing. And I think my purpose is creating these conversations in these spaces to where, I don't know, I just want everybody to do the thing that they love now.
And this is why she is on the podcast, because you inspired me that day hearing your story. And I was actually in the middle of a decision that I had to make to either take this huge risk or to not. And she's like, girl, go for it. And I'm like, you know what? You should be a motivational speaker, number one. Number two, I need to generate a conference just for you to speak, even if you don't have a stage right now. And number three, you're on the podcast. So kudos to you. Like, I really hope that you see, you know, the value that you're bringing. And I know sometimes it gets hard, and we all know, like, whenever when we're in the trenches, like working it out, trying to figure it out, trying to make it, or even just trying to maintain what we've already established, we get so lost in that place of, you know, either not being enough or, you know, not feeling like that we've accomplished all that we could. And so you are just on your way up, Miss.
Thank you.
So now we built the trailer. Dad's helped out, sis has helped out. We actually are slinging coffee now. Like we're in business. What made you open your first location, or how long before, or how long did you have your actual trailer active before you had your first location?
So I want to say it was like 2 years of the trailer. So I started the trailer in a very scary way, just on my own, just on a leap of faith. I had a business partner for a while, and July 2021, we parted ways. So we were originally Coordinates Coffee, and we parted ways, and it was like this moment of like, for me, renaissance of like, I have to step into my own and like rebirth myself into who I'm going to become. And in that, I decided to just do a full rebrand of the business as well. Clear out any old energies and just like have a complete fresh start. And that's when Wild Roots came about. And I redid the trailer. I wanted to be a completely new look and feel. And that really didn't last long. Because it was exhausting. It was hard, and to be honest, I was very overwhelmed and struggling with my mental health a lot, to where it was very difficult to get myself to go out there and serve every day, and I wasn't bringing the same energy. And so I kind of found myself in this like fork in the road of like, I am either going to throw this all away right now, or I have to open up a physical location, because the like physical demands of the trailer every day, I couldn't motivate myself to really do it. And so I toyed with the idea of opening up a space with a friend, and he told me it was the worst idea and I shouldn't do it, and I need to like meet some financial goals before I do it. And he was right, truly. But I knew I was either going to throw away all that I had built and feel so defeated in that, and I don't know what I would have done then, or I was going to open the space. So I happened to have found a space that was available to sublease, the temporary space that we were in for 18 months. And it was just like a very quick to open kind of thing. And it was everything that I needed at that time, to be able to just kind of get in there, start serving, create this space for people to meet and have these conversations. And I missed that space so much. Actually, all of the decor that was in that space, we were only in it for such a short amount of time, and I didn't want it to all go to waste. So I took it and made like a replica of the old shop in my living room. So like rugs, couches, furniture, like all the decor is just in my living room. So.
Oh my God. That is so cute.
Thank you.
You're such a nostalgic girl.
I am, yeah. I really am. Like, I'm the type that like I want to relive things all the time, or like recreate photos. Like, I love it.
You know what? You should get a Polaroid.
So my daughter always loved the Polaroid camera. So I got her one, and she like takes all these pictures of it with it. And then I was like, okay, that film is so expensive. And I found this, it's like a Polaroid printer to where you just like take it on your phone and it prints it out as a Polaroid. So if you don't like have the Polaroid on you, but you still get the nostalgic feel of like the film, right?
I love that.
I never used it, and I keep meaning to like, or I gave it to her, she never used it, and then I also never used it. So it's just sat there in the box, and I keep meaning to like pull it out because I love like that so nostalgic feel of like a Polaroid photo.
I love that. Sorry for getting distracted, but I just thought about Polaroid when you just said that. I was like,
and this space is like the perfect vibe for
a Polaroid wall.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one in my apartment.
Yeah.
So I was like, you should definitely.
Yeah, I'd have to do it.
That's really cool though. How did you get, I'm just curious from a business perspective, like was this your first business that you've ever owned? So for you to be able to transition from a trailer to an actual physical location, what was that process like for you? Because most tenured business owners, they have their processes, they have their, clientele, and they but I guess you already had your fan base built up. What did you do? Just announce that you were at a new location and everybody just started to come, or what was that transition like?
I feel like because so much, like I have been the brand of the business because I was there every single day, like, and I got to know people in such like a personal level, right? To where like, call it a fan base, but like these were like my family that I saw every day, and especially during the pandemic, like these people were there with me every day. I'm learning so much about their lives and these new things that are happening in their worlds, to where they just like wrapped their arms around me from the very beginning. Wow. And so I've always felt so incredibly supported by not only just my like everyday customers, but other local businesses and that kind of thing, like to where I didn't even feel scared at all. And maybe that's just, I'm insane, but like I didn't feel like the slightest bit of fear to open up that brick and mortar space, because I already knew that I was like so protected by these people in our community. So I think that from a business perspective, sometimes the things that I do the decisions that I make are a little like outlandish, and I should think through them more. But again, head in the clouds, and I get an idea in my brain and I'm gonna do it. Don't think about it too much and just dive in. So. But
a lot of times as an entrepreneur, which is why I'm not one yet, by the way, but you have to just go with your gut.
Yeah.
Because you know your business inside and out. Like you said, you were there every day.
Yeah.
You were talking to all your customers. You felt comfortable in your business that if you made a move that these people would figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's really cool to actually hear somebody talk about that transition by the way of just really connecting with their customers and knowing her business.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between like, I guess our shop and a lot of other shops or other businesses is like, I own and operate it, and I pour so much of myself into it. And I think the hardest transition piece was taking on employees, because it had just been me every day the whole time. And the idea of like giving giving a part of that to someone else and like trusting them with these people that I care so much for was really hard for me. And so I had to be very intentional on the people that I brought onto our team, and I had to make sure that I knew that they would carry out that same love to the people that walk through the door. And anytime I'm like bringing on a new team member, that's always the number one thing. I do not care about your background, your experience. What I care is your energy, and that I know that when people walk through the store, you're going to make them feel just as loved as when I'm here. Because people grew to expect that. This is not like a stuffy sort of like stuck up coffee shop. We're just here. We're just here having a good time and trying to build authentic connection. So that was the hardest part.
Wow. I'm going to ask you another question, but I just want to double check and make sure this is still recording. Because I see that this one closed up. Okay, we're still on here. Okay. We're still on. I know one interview I did that we recorded like an hour or so, and then like it stopped, and we had to go all the way back. So I was like, let me double check. Okay, and then we'll get this edited and stuff, so it's fine. But that's awesome, though. And how? I mean, okay. So, did you give your employees a shot before, actually hiring them, or what was your process? Because let me tell you, I work in corporate America, and it's very hard to hire people. So I get, and especially when it comes to something as intimate as a coffee shop, I could imagine, because the interactions are so important. Relationship building is so important, and like a genuine compassion is so important in spaces like this. How did you even interview these people to make sure they're good? Or are they like people that know people that you know? And
It honestly felt a lot like this. It was conversational. Very rarely do I bring like a notebook or laptop or a set of questions because I don't want it to feel like that. Because the thing that I'm looking for most is, like you said, that compassion, that kindness, and that's not really something that can be taught. It's there or it's not. And so I've honestly just gone with my intuition and my gut on a lot of the decisions that I've made with bringing on new team members. And sometimes they don't work out. But you never really know that until you dive in and give it a try. I feel like I've gotten really lucky and had a lot of really great people on our team. So there hasn't really been a lot of that feeling of like fear, but the biggest thing for me is trust. I need to know that like you care for me in the way that I care for you, and I can trust you to carry out like my vision for the space. Because if not, I can't leave. I will be here 24/7 every day.
So about how many people did you hire at first, whenever you first started to hire on new teammates?
So because I still wanted to be here all the time, I've never had more than like 2 to 3 staff members at a time. We're a small shop, and I always wanted to be here working. So, I mean, to this day, I always am here working during the week and stuff. So, of course, when I get pulled away in other places, I can't be, but the idea, like, as a business grows, of course, like, you have to pull away to be in different pots, right? And I think that's the challenge that I'm in right now, that I'm embarking upon, is like realizing that I can't be here all the time. And I've been feeling sad, like I'll get like a message from a longtime customer that's like, hey, are you here? And I feel so sad because I'm not there. And I know, like, while they love my coffee and whatever, they really want to come and see me, and I hate when I'm not there to like
be there
and greet them. Yeah. So
wow. So it sounds like, I mean, this, first of all, I mean, if you guys haven't noticed by now, I mean, she's giving you guys so many gems of how to become an entrepreneur and also how to run your business effectively. I feel like there's a lot of small businesses who are just trying to be a business, and that's how their businesses fail, because what they fail to realize is their customer is a person. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day. So she's dropping gems, like, be in your business, create relationships with the people that that are your customers. Treat them nice and kind. Like, don't be rude to your customers.
Right.
Please. I hate going to small businesses and then feeling like I'm the burden.
Yeah.
I mean, am I not giving you money?
Right. And that's the thing, like, I will never have the mentality of the customer is always right, because sometimes the customer is wrong.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I said, I bring attention to every single part of this process from the moment you walk into the door, and I want to create a good experience. And I hope that my staff is doing that as well. But I think the biggest thing is like that accountability piece of like, whether that's the staff member or the owner, of like, hey, this customer had a poor experience. How can we make that right? And I'm so big on like, I will immediately like, hey, what can I do? I'm so sorry. Or like take accountability for maybe what I did, because like you said, I'm a human too.
Yeah.
Behind the bar, I'm still a human, and I will make mistakes.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is like, you have to make up for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes like that customer on the other end just wants to know that they are heard. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they are paying. We couldn't exist or survive without them.
Yeah.
And our money, where we spend it, matters to us. And I think like that's why I have found success in what I do, is because people choose to spend their money with me because they know that I care for them, and they know like where my heart is, versus like this is just like an empty spend, you know?
Please take notes. Great business owner, great entrepreneur, great woman, great mother. I mean, I just have to give you another hand clap. So your shop closes at the other location, the first location, right? Mm-hmm. Because they sold.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Because that's such an unexpected, or did they give you a little time?
So I knew about it before I like moved into that space. I knew, but that was a perfect opportunity. They were like, hey, you probably don't want to do this because, you know, you've only got about 18 months. And I was like, actually, no, that's perfect, because that is less scary than knowing, hey, here's 5 years, you may fail, you know? So it was like 18 months to get my feet wet and see, can I like
run a shop,
you know, a physical space. I'd been in the trailer for so long. Can I run a physical space?
Yeah.
So it actually worked out really, really well. The transition, like actually this space itself, I knew that I needed to start like looking for a new space, because I knew like the clock was ticking on when that building would get torn down. And it was all just meant to be, I feel like. A guy reached out to me via email, was like, hey, you know, I manage these spaces. If you're looking to, you know, find a new space, here are some options that I have if you want to talk or whatever. Immediately emailed him back. I was like, this one looks perfect. I want to come see it tomorrow. Saw it that next day. And on the way over there, I had like vlogged it a little bit. I was like, I just know in my heart this is the perfect space for me, and I know it's going to be the one. And I immediately fell in love with it, and immediately started that process with my broker to like get into the space. I got really lucky, and the team here, they have supported me so much in the construction process and the build out of everything, and my family, of course, because they have so many different like talents and trades. Like it was a long year, start to finish, of like seeing the space to actually opening, but it was so supported by all these people around me.
Man, you just have a phenomenal story. I mean, did you face any type of challenge, or like, I mean, not even did you face challenge, like with all that you have going on, you're a mom, you're a sister, you're a daughter, you're a business owner. How would you say, or what is the best strategy to keep everything that you have afloat against challenge? Yeah. What would you say is your advice for people who they're like, I have so many priorities, I have so many things to do, I have so many things pulling me here, and I can't do this thing that's been in my mind for so long? What's your advice?
So I always like to say that I don't subscribe to like hustle culture, because it doesn't work for me. That's why teaching didn't work out for me, because you're expected to like grind it out every single day, day and night, unpaid hours, and like it did not matter. You had to show up all day long. And I could see how like my mental health declined in that. And so I knew that if I was going to do this, it had to be done right. And my priority had to always be protecting my own peace. And so I feel like my biggest advice for somebody wanting to embark upon anything at all, a creative project, a business, a new career, whatever it is, to make time for rest. Don't let people convince you that you have to be grinding 24/7. You are going to be forced to stop and rest if you don't give yourself that rest. No matter what, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
So, and so I ebb and I flow through it. There are days or weeks where I really do have to hustle it out, but I know at the end of it, I have to give myself a lot of rest and time to quiet my mind. And when I have had challenges, because I definitely have over the years, and from personal challenges to motherhood, financially, I mean, this is, I don't regret my decisions in this business, but it's also, it has caused a lot of like stress for sure. But I always bring myself back to my intention, and my intention is to create peace, to create joy, and to create a space for us all to coexist together. So I think intention creating is important, and then just constantly bringing yourself back to that mindfulness of why am I here?
Wow. It all goes back to the why, the rest. And I think that's something, especially a lot of, moms, number one, but also just people who are very ambitious in general, that they don't give themselves enough credit for. It's just taking that time for themselves.
Yeah.
So when you're in these rest phases, what would you say that you do that kind of helps keep you level?
So my friends and my family, sometimes they think it's funny, sometimes they think it's annoying that I have like a very like hippie kind of energy, to where when I am in those rest phases, a calendar, I don't know her. She does not exist. Like, I'm so serious. Like I want to wake up and have no plan for that day. And that is, I know, not a luxury that everybody has, but I have definitely put in the sweat to earn it at this point. Through it all, it was teaching while starting the business, while being a single mom, and it was hard. So as much as sometimes like I know we like to tell ourselves, oh, I don't deserve this break, or I don't deserve this rest, that has been my journey, is reminding myself as many times as I need to that I do deserve it and I do need to take it. So my strategy is honestly to have a day filled of like nothingness. I love that, like when even just with friends, like if friends want to have lunch, let's talk about it the day of, and let's see how I'm feeling.
Right.
Learning to say no, learning to not overcommit myself to things that I really don't have time for. And that has been my biggest thing, is just like keeping myself in this moment. I spent a lot of years when my daughter was younger just like having to hustle and having to work really hard and be away from her for so long. So right now I'm in this phase of like, she just turned 14, and like I'm like feeling that sense of like she is so close to adulthood, and I don't have that many little years of her being in the home, and just staying home and being like active with her and making memories, and that's really where my value is right now. So.
Wow. I'm going to ask you a question too, and maybe this wasn't a problem for you, but that was phenomenal. And what I heard you say, even through like all of the different things that you said that you do, is that you decided what's important for you, and you created boundaries around that.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have issues with boundaries, because I was one of those people. I had to figure out, really sit by myself and not, like you said, not do anything, just nothing, don't talk. And honestly, I can't even do lunch. You're lucky to get, on those days, you're lucky to even give me lunch. But to kind of reset and create those boundaries, how did you formulate those boundaries, or is it something that you've always had?
I definitely did not always have them. I think that it was like a gradual learning process of like seeing the drastic like negative impact of not having boundaries, that over time, like I just had to take that hit and learn like, okay, when I said yes to this, it put me out in this way. So I think it was like a learning process of not putting myself in a position where it is going to cause me undue stress, or whether that is mental, financial, physical. A lot of times we have a really hard time setting boundaries with our family. And I think that was something I had to do too. I had to really get to know myself. And like you said, where you have to find that solitude sometimes to really like dive into who you are. And we're young, right? So like a lot of people have judged me for like, why are you always just like sitting at the house, or why are you always like by yourself?
That will be cut out. I had a cough. I was trying to hold this for so long, but I was like, oh, sorry, but go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, people are always just like, inquisitive on like, why are you at home, or why are you not coming out with us, you know? And the reason being is because it doesn't bring me joy. And I realize that going out all night long, I am like naturally a morning person. And so like being out at night, I'm tired. And like, depending on the person you're with or the people you're with, it's draining. And so I would say yes to these things because I was like going to go try to find a man or, you know, whatever. But it was like, it was never bringing me what I wanted. And the next day I had to pay for it.
No, I'm happy you said that. Say that one more time. Can you
I don't know what I said.
I was going out to do what?
I was going out to find a man, and at the end of the day, I still don't have one, right? So like, and part of that was like, that's so much of the boundaries that I've learned every year has been from men, and I think now I'm in the space of like, you cannot access my space if you are not adding to it. If you know what I mean? If what you are offering me in terms of like something you want to do or something you want to be in my life, it is not adding to me, then you're subtracting. And life is really too short to spend with people that aren't like, this is silly to like say out loud sometimes, but like if you are not like absolutely obsessed and in love with me, I don't need you in my space. And that is not like a like overly cocky, confident kind of thing. It's just, I love so hard and I love and support my people in my circle so hard. I need everyone else there. And part of this, the last 4 years in business ownership, I really saw who needed to be in that circle and who needed to be subtracted from it. So now it has gotten smaller and smaller. And with that, it's brought so much peace.
You said so much. But that's really necessary.
Yeah.
Especially as a business owner and a mother. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like a lot of times we prioritize our friends, and good thing that you did not, but a lot of times we prioritize our friends or the things that other people want us to do over our own needs or our own desires. And I know I was at that point as well. So to hear you say that you just really understood that by taking time for yourself and minimizing your, you know, you were hippie about it, minimizing your interaction with the outside world. And it just shows like you truly did prioritize yourself because you were by yourself. And I think people get it confused. Like, oh, I can still do this and prioritize myself. Well, how are you going to prioritize yourself when you don't really truly know yourself enough to make it a priority, because you're filling your life with all of these other things that you think are bringing you happiness. It's very temporary. It's kind of like an adrenaline high rather than truly sitting by yourself.
Right. And I think that the concept of that hits the nail on the hammer, because I have found this, the people that are still continue to like be boundaryless and to say yes to all of these different things, it is because they don't know who they are and they're so afraid to be alone with themselves. And that is kind of when I stopped like going out and like drinking all night with my friends and looking for men, because I realized who I was and none of that stuff mattered and I didn't want to do it. It's easy to say no. It's easy to say no when you know who you are. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love you. She's great, y'all. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't even know. I feel like you've so exhausted. Okay, so you basically said it all. I mean, if you guys don't have any nuggets from this conversation, like something's wrong with you, because she's been dropping them after dropping them. So let's talk a little bit about your transition to the new space. Kind of, you know, the identity behind the brand. Of course, we get the retro vibe, but how did you come up with the name? And then, you know, maybe we can do some fun facts about you. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
So the name, when I was rebranding in that process in 2021, I wanted the space to more so represent this like process of like journeying into myself. And I just spilled tea all over myself. That's okay. But this like rebirth.
That was your journey.
Right. But yeah, I really just wanted the new feeling of the space to reflect that like rebirth that I was like embarking upon. And the word wild has always just like been in the back of my brain. I've always loved the word wild and been so pulled to it. And I never really knew why, but I knew that when I started like stirring around ideas of the business that I wanted to be something with the word wild. It didn't end up being that. It ended up being Coordinates Coffee, which I didn't feel like an identity to that. I really was just like stuck in my classroom one day. I was like, I just need to think of a name. I have an event already booked. I have to think of a name. So Wild Roots was more intentional. So my daughter's name is Jayla. And at the time, I didn't think about what her name meant, but apparently it means wild mountain goat. So then when I realized that, I was like, wow, I'm even more tied to that word wild. And my daughter is like, one of my favorite quotes is love her, but leave her wild. And so like, I've always thought about that with her is like, I'm going to love her in a way that she never has to like quiet that wild sense of wonder in her. And so the name itself, the wild part is of course me reminding myself to stay wild, to stay true to like that wild nature that I have and that I want, you know, my daughter to continue to foster in herself. And then the roots part is just a reminder to myself that like this rebirth process is about grounding myself. It's about going back to that intention, that piece of who I am and staying true to that. So essentially Wild Roots is staying true and grounded to my wild self.
Don't you guys love that? Because I love that. And I love how personal you've made your business, but also how it's also been a part of your journey. Like the intention behind the business is still a part of your journey. Yeah. And I think that that's what truly makes you a great business owner, number one. But also I think that that is what makes you a phenomenal business owner, number two, because a lot of times I feel like people get into, they're like, okay, it's almost like marriage. Like if you think about marriage now, I feel like people are getting married just to have the ceremony.
Right, or to check off that box.
Or to check off the box. They're having the baby just so they can buy little cute baby clothes and post it online. And then you have those people who are like popping kids, like who are married, who have been married for years. You don't see all the products of their relationship, but you see two strong people coming together. And I feel like that is like your business. That's your marriage. Is like, you know, it's not for the flash. You know, it has a hint of you and it has its own space and its own feel. But you kind of are walking together on this journey, like between life and business. And I mean, I just think that that's beautiful. Yeah. That's so beautiful that, and then the fact that you're able to articulate your story in the way that you do. I think you need to be on stages, sister.
Thank you.
I'm serious.
No, I normally like refuse to do any kind of like conversation surrounding like my business or the start. And in the last 4 years, I've maybe done like 4 sort of interviews telling my story because I hate it. Because I get so inside my head where like I need to know the questions ahead of time so that I can prep out my answer.
You didn't ask me.
I didn't, because like over the last couple of years, I've realized like my biggest goal is to be authentic. And when I know the questions ahead of time and when I've carefully like planned out my words, I get stuck in my head. I end up like choking on my words to begin with. And also it does not present authentically. It presents robotic. It presents just the way any other business would. And I don't want to be like any other business. I really want this to always represent a part of me. So I don't often do this, but I feel so comfortable talking to you. Again, it's like this is only our second time meeting, but it's like it's a comfortable, safe space. And I think like that has been my favorite part of this journey is like finding those people along the way that you can immediately connect with. So.
All right. Well, we'll do a little bit of this and that. So I'm going to ask you a question and you choose which or which.
Okay.
Or actually, I'm just going to ask you a question and then you can figure out the answer. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Wild. We're here. Wild. Are you single?
Absolutely. Very.
She is single, y'all. She is open for the market. Only if you love her to death.
Right.
Because she don't got time.
Have to be obsessed with me, yeah.
Sister don't have time for mess, and I'll beat you guys up. Okay, coffee or tea?
Oh, right now, this season of my life, I'm gonna say tea.
Oh, caramel or hazelnut?
Caramel, but I'm gonna say neither.
Oh, why?
Caramel, I'm vegan. And so it's really hard to make a good caramel that really like is like
Tasteful.
yes.
Yeah.
That like really gives caramel in a vegan way. And so because of that, it's just not something that I enjoy. So neither, but if I had to choose caramel.
Ooh, beach or mountain?
Mountains.
Ooh, have you been to Asheville?
Of course, yeah.
I'm jealous. I've still never been to Asheville.
You've never been to Asheville?
And
How
I've
long have you
here
been
in
here?
like 6 years.
Okay. No, Asheville is like such a quick, like, there have been, most of the times I've been to Asheville, which like at least 30 times. Most of the times I've been like, I'm just like grabbing coffee uptown or something, and then suddenly I'm like, we should go to Asheville. Because it's such a quick drive and it's so pretty and there's like so many things to explore around there, so.
Cool. City or rural areas?
So I've always felt I was more of a city mouse. But over the last year, I am like really enjoying taking that time away and getting out of the city, out of the like hustle bustle and like being more like in the woods and in nature. So maybe not country, but like woods.
What's your favorite music genre?
I would say I am very into like 90s, early 2000s, like R&B. I was talking with my daughter last night. I was like giving her like the song, Don't Mess With My Man.
I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you.
Right, so I was like going on a journey with her with that, and then she was like, you should play Ashanti Foolish. And I was like, how do you know that song?
Oh, sis,
she was like, you listen to it all the time, so I know all the words to it. And I was like, I love that. So, so yeah, I listen to a lot of like, again, the nostalgia. And then I also have like recently relearned my love for Usher, like every single song by heart, yeah.
Sorry, I had a moment, but yeah. So. Okay, so festival or concert?
I'm gonna say festival, but
Do you like all those people? Because I hate festivals and concerts.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't really want to be like, I hate being so close to people because if somebody spills like a drink on me or something, I get very annoyed by that. So neither, but if I had to choose, probably a festival.
Yeah, because you can walk around and different things. Well, okay. Well, we know everything there is to know about Jasmine. This has been such a pleasure. You know, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Yeah. We've been trying to get this going for like how long? We've both been busy and missing each other, but I am so grateful to have you here. You know, thank you for sharing your story. And just know that your voice matters, and I hope you continue doing this, and I hope to see you on a large stage one day.
Thank you.
Yes, well.
Side by side.
And this is it.
That's
okay.
it.
Oh my gosh. I want to still try some of that.
Okay.
If I can.
I do too. I wanted some of that one too. It has been sitting